Now, most rappers mellow out as they acquire success. Fortunately or unfortunately, The Game, who infamously punched and threatened to kill a man who turned out to be an undercover cop during a pickup basketball game in 2015, is not one of those rappers. Whether you know it or not, The Game has racked up more beef than a Texas farm during his years in the industry. Game has said his warrior spirit comes from being raised in Los Angeles, which he views as a more savage environment than a place like New York City or Chicago. And in this video, I'm going to detail the mini beefs of The Game. Hey, while you're here, do me a solid and subscribe to the channel, like and share. Jay-Z and Roc-A-Fella. Now, many may have forgotten about The Game's beef with Jay-Z because it seemingly came out of nowhere. It all started in 2004 when Game released the song West Side Story, in which he said he doesn't do button-up shirts or drive Maybachs. Most people thought that was a dig at Jay. Game denied it and said it was directed at 50's arch nemesis Ja Rule. Jay didn't directly acknowledge the beef, but in a freestyle on Hot 97 seemed to take shots at the LA rapper by mentioning the word game multiple times, though he described the freestyle as an ode to summer. Game then dissed Jay and Roc-A-Fella on stage publicly, including dissing Memphis Bleek, who had problems with Game due to his Get Low Records, the same name as Game's former label, Get Low Records, with a Z. Game would continue taking shots at Jay for years until 2012 when he seemed to finally give up on trying to provoke Hov. Joe Budden. Game has never shied away from his gang-affiliated past and consistently reps his hood and set. So when Joe Budden called out June Unit as gangsta actor on a song from a 2004 DJ Clue mixtape, Game took the insult personally. Clue went further in his diss, putting a verse from The Game onto the song, making it appear that The Game had signed off on the track from 50 Cent, who perceived the slight as a betrayal. Game fired back on a track of his own called Buttons, and the two continued their back and forth for years before it was all squashed with a text message and a phone call. Me and Game never really had an issue, Budden told MTV after the beef had died. It was more so a Joe Budden versus G-Unit thing. Lil Eazy-E. The Game is known for dropping names and personalities in his verses, and since Game is from Compton, NWA has been one of his favorite references. He has been especially fond of dropping the name of the late rapper Eazy-E and even got a tattoo of Eazy on his arm. Eazy's son, who has been nicknamed Lil Eazy-E, had collaborated on a song with The Game in 2004, but at a point grew tired of Game name-dropping his father so often and questioned if Game could stand on his own name. Game then dropped 120 bars in 2005, calling out Lil Eazy-E for not writing his own lyrics and starting a beef to promote his upcoming album. Lil Eazy responded a few months later with Coming From Compton, which essentially said Game lied about knowing his father, called him disrespectful for getting a tattoo of Eazy-E, and once again said Game used to be a stripper. But by the end of 2006, the beef was over. Meek Mill. In mid-2016, The Game's beef with Meek Mill erupted when The Game accused Meek of snitching on him for assaulting Sean Kingston and snatching Kingston's $300,000 chain while the trio was out at the same nightclub one night. Though Meek would later deny these allegations, Game sparked the beef by unexpectedly releasing the track 92 Bars, a diss record in which the Compton native called the Philly rapper a snitch and threatened to steal his then-girlfriend Nicki Minaj. On September 16th of that year, Kingston took to Instagram to clap back at The Game's allegation while dissing The Game in the same breath. In one of his videos, Kingston calls The Game a fake blood and makes the point that The Game's friends were only able to snatch Kingston's jewelry because they attacked him from behind. In another IG video, Kingston claims that neither he nor Meek said anything to the police. Never one to back down from a battle of any type, Game quickly responded with a video of his own, joking that Meek paid the suicidal singer in PB&Js to lie on Meek's behalf.
I wonder how many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches Meek had to make your fat jelly bean smuggling ass to fucking switch up on his Instagram when you know fucking well that you got your ass robbed in the club, ran for all your fucking jewelry, you ain't do shit, your nigga sat there and watched you get robbed, you left the club, called my phone, said, Game, big bro, somebody robbed me, can you help me get my chains back?
On September 18th, the late Nipsey Hussle would call out both Meek and Game for their beef, which he believed was irresponsible, saying hip-hop need to stop gassing this beef between at The Game and at Meek Mill. That same day, Meek responded to The Game's 92 bars with a diss of his own, bringing O'Malley and Philly legend Benny C along for the ride. Meek responded with his own diss, which was a mix to Young M.A.'s Ooh. In the track, Meek tears into the game, rapping, "Durk checked you, Thug sunned you, Fifth dropped you, Mac won you." When his first verse was finished, Meek poked fun at Game's comparatively low record sales before going on to call him a rat. Oddly enough, it was the Game's decision to brand Meek a rat that led to the feud in the first place. On September 20th, the Game kept the beef going by dropping an Ooh remix of his own titled Pest Control. On the vicious diss song, Game questions Meek's manhood by pointing out the perceived failures in all of Meek's recent beefs. On September 22nd, in a twist for both fans of the Game and Meek, business mogul Russell Simmons announced that the Game and Meek had officially squashed their beef. For a short time, it looked like the two rappers had actually called an end to the feud, but the Game's manager, Wack 100, quickly and very disrespectfully let Simmons know, and the rest of the world know, that that wasn't the case, saying, "Hey Russell, stay in your MFing lane. You don't dictate or have a voice in what the F we do over here. When's the last time you reached down to sign an urban artist? Whatever you and at Meek Mill is talking about during your yoga session is y'all's business. We keeping it #West over here, my ninja. #we ain't squashing shh at Uncle Rush." Shortly after, Wack spoke with Simmons on the phone and came back with a revised Insta post, even mentioning that the Game and Meek's beef could be ending soon after all. On September 25th, the Game's manager, Wack 100, uploaded a picture of an order of protection filed against the Game and initiated by none other than Sean Kingston himself. Needless to say, the Game wasn't too happy. He responded with an Instagram post of his own shortly afterwards saying, "I got to sleep for a few hours, then wake up to see this all over the internet. Ain't coming nowhere near you, you bum, you snitching ... He continued in the now deleted post. Lil Durk and G-Count. The Game's beef with Lil Durk started when another West Coast rapper got into a heated battle with none other than Tyga. Back in 2014, Lil Durk and Tyga had got into a back and forth when Durk dropped lyrics in a feature intended for a Chris Brown French Montana song that referenced Blac Chyna, Tyga's then fiancée and the mother of his son. Wanting to back up his fellow California rapper, Game then hopped on a diss track that Tyga dropped days later called Chirac to LA, claiming that nobody knew who Durk was. Lil Durk jumped on Twitter going in on the artistic merits of Game's song, which he called whack. Then G-Count from the Chicago group LEP Bogus Boys, who Game name-checked as a real Chicago rapper in his original Durk diss, came to his younger comrade's aid against Game in a new track aptly titled F the Game Up. T.I. came in and mediated the issues between the Game and G-Count, and 6 weeks later, Game and Durk got on the phone to settle their differences during the 2014 BET Awards weekend. Young Thug. In 2015, Game jumped into another beef that didn't originally involve him when Weezy and Thugger were beefing. The Game would spur on the feud between Lil Wayne and Young Thug, taking to the stage to threaten to F up Young Thug for dissing Weezy. Footage then emerged of the Game saying, "I will F you up, Young Thug," and later, "I'ma do a ninja like I did 40 Glock." Thus began the beef between the two rappers. Thug retaliated by reminding the Game of the time he was a male stripper. The Game then declared Young Thug the lead singer of the fictional band Whack MCs. JoJo Capone, who was a member of Global Gangsters and appears to be affiliated with Rich Gang, was able to get both Game and Young Thug on the phone and apparently diffused the heated situation. Game acknowledged the conversation on Twitter and the beef was temporarily squashed until Game spontaneously threatened to beat the Victoria's Secret out of that boy/girl. Young Thug replied by posting the pictures of Game's daughter to Instagram, writing, "Such a cutie. Wish she was my kid." Thugger also responded in an Instagram post, again referencing Game's male stripper photo as a reason he doesn't want to fight the West Coast MC, stating, "I don't want no germs." The two sent more Instagrams back and forth before a truce was ultimately brokered by JoJo Capone, only for things to flare up once again a few months later after Game gave an interview defending Wayne once more. More Instagram back and forth, and then finally, a lyrical diss from the Game during a freestyle emerged before everything once again calmed down again later that year. 50 Cent and G-Unit. Ironically, the Game's biggest and longest running beef stemmed, at least initially, from his unwillingness to beef in the first place. When Game signed to Aftermath Entertainment in 2003, then Interscope chief Jimmy Iovine put Game into 50 Cent's G-Unit group, which at the time was at the top of the rap game. 50 Cent, who has more beef than a Wendy's, demanded the whole G-Unit gang join him in taking on the many other rappers he was feuding with at the time. Game had no problem piling on against the Ja Rules and the Joe Buddens of the world, but he drew the line at Fat Joe, Jadakiss, and Nas, none of whom Game had issues with, and all of whom were targeted in 50's song Piggy Bank. So 50, who doesn't take kindly to this kind of disloyalty, officially kicked Game out of G-Unit live on the air at Hot 97 in an interview that was cut off prematurely due to a shooting outside the station involving Game's crew. The Game had attempted to run up on Hot 97 studios with about 60 other dudes backing him up. A scuffle ensued outside, shots were fired, but thankfully no one died. What followed was one of the most extensive extended beefs in hip-hop history. Dozens of diss tracks, Game's protracted GU Not campaign, then 50's Junior Hated or Love It mixtape that had a doctored image of Game in a thong on the cover, several rejected peace treaties later, mostly from the Game side, and separate branches of the beef that directly involved Tony Yayo, Young Buck, and Lloyd Banks. They squashed the beef at a nightclub in 2016 with Game saying, quote, "I F with 50. What happened, that was 12 years ago. Ninjas ain't on that no more. Ain't nobody on that old drink your mother effing. But the beef would be reignited in 2022 when the Game told 50 Cent to mind his business after 50 questioned Game's recent statements that Kanye West did more for his career than Dr. Dre. On Friday, March 4, 2022, Game addressed the G-Unit founder on Twitter saying, "At 50, last time you did this with me, G-Unit clothing got put in a casket with the entire group and you went into television. I like power and leave it alone. I'm back outside. Hashtag Numinati." Game told the Drink Champs podcast that Ye had done more for him than Dr. Dre had accomplished. He went on to tell Drink Champs host Nori that it's crazy that Ye did more for me in the last 2 weeks than Dre did for me my whole career. 50 Cent reacted to the soundbite on Twitter typing, "Huh? What happened here?" It looks like Game didn't like 50 interjecting himself in the conversation and still wants all the smoke with his former boss, despite mentioning in his Drink Champs interview that 50 did a lot for his career. Game also made headlines for comments he made about Eminem during the Drink Champs interview, where he boasted about being better than Shady. Quote, "Eminem is Eminem," Game said. "I like Eminem. He's one of the effing good MCs. Great MCs. He raps fast. He do all that I used to think Eminem was better than me. He not. In the past, the Game has also had beef with Stitches, Yuck Mouth, 40 Glock, David Beckham, Bow Wow, Chris Brown, Shine, and Waxstar. At the end of the day, one thing is for sure. Game is as talented at rapping as he is at starting But as long as it stays on the wax and doesn't end with blood in the streets, I say all is fair in love and war. And that's it, folks. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, this is Black Rhetoric, and I'm out. Peace.